The information provided on this show does not, and is not intended to, constitute legal advice. Instead, all information on this show is for general informational purposes only. The information provided is not a substitute for legal advice, and we recommend viewers consult an attorney for specific legal matters.
To Condo Craze and HOAs here on our YouTube channel. It's 7 o'clock on a Thursday, our new time. Go Dolphins, beat those Bills. They haven't been able to beat them anytime soon.
They've always been a crawl. What's the word?
Albatross around their neck.
Right, exactly.
Tyreek Hill is all, you know.
But only for 40 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's all jammed up with this speeding thing. But anyway, thank you for joining us. We're so happy to have you here on a Thursday night, and we're here live each Thursday at 7 o'clock to talk about condo and HOA law, because we want to thank our sponsors especially that make this show possible. We truly, they offer the best services in South Florida. They've been with us for 16 years.
And it's all basically all the sponsors from the beginning. It's incredible.
Yeah, best
Amazing.
Roofing.
Can't thank them.
Yeah,
Can't thank them enough.
If you need anything, you're basically being sponsored by them all. It covers the gamut, including our diamond sponsor, Best Roofing. I'm Karen Curtis, and I'm joined again today by Eric Glazer. He is an attorney. He is board certified by the Florida Bar in plan development law and condominium and plan development laws specifically. He has a firm here in Fort Lauderdale, one in Orlando, and we're here each week to answer all your calls, emails, questions in the chat box about what makes life in your condominium or HOA absolutely crazy from 1 minute to the next. And we'd love to get the phone lines going early. We already have people on the phone. The number to call anywhere in the state toll free is 717-GLAZER-8. 717 Glazer with a Z8, and that actually works out to be 717-452-9378.
Okay, you can also visit us on the chat box on the Condo Craze and HOAs channel on YouTube, and just type your questions or comments in there. Before we get started, I just got out of a 7-hour mediation.
You're kidding.
So if you don't get the right answers today, you know, what can I tell you?
Are you a little drained?
Oh, I'm done.
You're burnt?
Yeah, I'm burned out.
Yeah.
7-hour mediation.
Good for you.
For those of you who have participated in one of those, you know what I'm talking about.
But how did it work out?
Successful.
Oh,
yes,
my gosh.
It's successful.
Thank
but
God.
Still 7 hours.
7
If you're a fan
hours.
of the show, don't forget to subscribe to two things. Number one, the Condo Craze and HOA's YouTube channel, where you don't have to watch the show live. You can also watch any of our prior shows that we have done. Rob, I'll tell you, I keep track. I look to see how many people are watching our prior shows.
Yeah.
It's thousands. It's incredible. Thousands and thousands of hours. Actually, 2 months ago, I think it was, at least 2 months ago, I got something from YouTube that said, congratulations, viewers have tuned in for 70,000 hours.
What? Oh
Think
my
of that.
God, that's
Think
a
of
lot.
That. Viewers watching our, how flattering is that for both of us?
Yeah.
For all of us, right? Incredible.
70,000 hours?
We're probably approaching 80 or more at this point. So really, really nice. So that's what's available for everybody. And of course, subscribe to our email list at condo-laws.com. Again, at condo-laws.com. Just go there, click on subscribe. I told you it's going to be a tough evening.
You got it.
Right? And subscribing, by subscribing, you get a lot, and comments about our show, updates on the law, all kinds of things. So make sure you do that. There's like 20-something thousand people on the list by now. And we're also all over social media,
yes,
right?
Yes,
Exactly.
of course. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Apple, Spotify, anywhere, any platform where you're going to find a podcast or our show, it's going to be there. Thanks to Robert. He's so good about that.
A genius.
And then you blog all the time. Your blog is really
do.
hot.
We're doing that for like 16 years too. HOA-condoblog.com. Again, HOA-condoblog.com. This week's topic, interesting. We'll talk about it eventually on the show. Can a condominium prevent ownership of more than one unit? Very, very interesting topic. Yeah, you'd be surprised what that answer is. I'm not going to give it away now.
Does it have to do with new law?
No, does not.
Okay.
Doesn't have to do with the new law. Good question now. has to do with what your documents ultimately say. And even if your documents do say it, can it be done? How do you prevent somebody from owning more than one unit? Suppose they put it in their spouse's name. Right? Suppose they put it in their kid's name. Now what? Or a corporation. It becomes complicated is the bottom line.
What if it's a developer?
What if it's a developer? Right, exactly.
So this is so good.
A lot goes into that topic.
Okay.
Karen, did we have a great guest last week?
Oh my God, I just want to thank him so much.
Yeah.
This man, he'd lost his sister in the Surfside collapse. By the way, they met today to talk about the reasons for the collapse again.
Oh, really? That I didn't know.
The Safety Commission did, and they still don't know, but
Of
whatever.
course.
But we wanted to thank our special guest. His name is Martin Langesfeld. He is devoting his life to making sure that condos are safe now after he lost his sister and his brother-in-law in that collapse.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you,
Great guy.
he was such a genuine person and very outspoken about the topic since then. And I think that it was a very unique and powerful story that he had. And, you know, he's taken a lot of guff, as have you, from people who are like, ugh, why?
Rob, I'm going to ask you to chime in on this, actually. I'm sorry, Karen,
No,
I didn't mean to cut you off. But we were talking before he came in, and you can say it, tell everybody what you think his therapy is. Yeah, you know, pretty unique.
I definitely think he gets some sort of therapy from the activism that he does.
Yeah, it's a wonderful tribute to his sister, isn't it?
Yeah.
That he's just not going to let up in terms of keeping these laws in place. Now, what the flip side to that, what's pretty amazing is the governor was this week in Miami Shores, I think it was. Miami Lakes, sorry.
With a round table, listening to people complaining about they can't afford these changes.
Well,
and he's asking the legislature to have a special session.
Well, let me say this. I can tell you I met with some lobbyists this week who are up in Tallahassee all the time.
You should have been at that meeting, by the way.
Wasn't asked. Can't go where you weren't asked, right? So I will tell you that, to be perfectly frank, to be perfectly clear, the governor can say all he wants in that regard. I can tell you that the Speaker of the House and the Leader of the Senate will never get hearings going in that regard. It's just not going to happen.
Well, he said that maybe
Perez and Pasadomo, by the way. It's just not going to happen.
Maybe you don't have to do all the repairs at one time. Or you can get a low-interest loan.
What does that mean? So
I don't know. What is he talking about?
Because I don't think he knows, quite frankly, in that regard, what he's saying. So what do you do?
It's all come due now. Yeah, you can't just space it out anymore. It's been spaced out for years.
So you obviously still need the inspections, right? You obviously what did we learn? Buildings didn't even have required inspections. So you're not going to take away the inspections, right? That's pretty important. So what's left? Okay, don't require the buildings to do reserves. Isn't that what got us into this mess in the first place?
Well, he's like, only fix the real bad stuff first.
Only fix the real bad stuff. And if your whole building is falling down, right? So
how do you figure out what needs to be done first?
I think the governor can say a lot of things in terms of talking points that will give him, some clapping hands in front of the people. But when all's said and done, it's simply never going to happen. It won't happen. So I have a column coming out.
He wants them to meet before the end of the year because this all comes due at the end of the year.
Whatever he wants is, that doesn't mean he's going to get it.
All right.
I can tell you he's not going to get it. And I think it was the column. Did I write the column this week? I don't even remember. It's basically saying, hey, those of you who are in denial about this actually happening, wow, you better wake up. Because it's happening and it's not going to be reversed.
Snap out of it.
Yeah, there are those people who were saying, well, the legislature is obviously not going to let this go through. It did go through.
It's done.
And the Leader of the House and Senate are telling you that they're not going to even allow hearings about it. So that's the warning. That's the warning. All right, I just want to say thank you to Senator Osgood and Tamarack Mayor Michelle Gomez. And they put together a wonderful, wonderful event this week in Tamarack. In Kings Point. I was asked to serve on a real distinguished panel to teach the residents of the city of Tamarack about everything that we're talking about. Mandatory inspections, mandatory repairs, mandatory reserves. And again, a lot of the people really didn't know a lot of the answers to the questions.
Open their eyes up, yeah.
Open their eyes up, yeah. Hundreds of people showed up for the seminar. And it was, really wonderful to meet all of you. And For those of you who showed up, well, many board members, but many non-board members as well. So it was an honor and a pleasure serving on the panel, and it was an honor and a pleasure meeting you guys and speaking to all of you and letting you know what you need to do. Okay, on to today's topic. We've been discussing how developers attempt to buy all the units in the condominium to terminate the condominium, all right? We spoke about that by doing so, the developer files what's called a plan of termination, and whether or not they need 100% or whether or not they need 80% to terminate. And at the moment, it may even depend upon what county, it may depend upon what city you live in, whether or not you live in Dade, whether or not you live in Broward. The laws are different. We have different judges ruling on different things, depending upon whether or not you need 100%, you need 80%.
Such a mess.
Whether or not you have the as amended from time to time language. It's pretty amazing. But we have now different laws in different counties, and everybody really needs to know. You really need to talk. When you sense a situation where a developer starting to buy units, you really better start asking questions and have associations counsel do some research and give you an intelligent answer as to, wow, can it really happen here? That's the bottom line.
What I understand is that if a developer is prevented from terminating the condominium because of just a few owners, holdouts,
holdouts.
The developer may have yet another way of terminating the condominium.
That's right, exactly.
Other than getting 100% to be in agreement.
Right, okay, so we've been talking up until now just about having numbers, right? Having enough units do it. But there's another way, okay? There's actually another way. And more than one way to skin a cat, right? Okay, the developer can claim that the property is simply in total disrepair, all right? Total disrepair, and rely...
they can use these studies to prove it.
Yeah, okay, yes.
You've paid for your own debt
For your own demise, right, exactly, for your own inspection reports.
Yeah.
So here's the statute.
Those are public, are they not?
I'm sorry?
Are they public?
Absolutely. Every owner is entitled to a copy. So you want to look at Florida Statute 718.117 if you're playing along at home. Now, guys, listen to this, and you especially need to listen to this if you know that your condominium needs a lot of work. So here's what 718.117 says. Statute is labeled termination because of economic waste or impossibility. Okay, so remember, the first part of how you terminate, it's by the numbers, right? It's by the numbers. Now we're talking about, well, wait a minute. Suppose the condominium just needs a lot of work. So here's what the statute says. Notwithstanding any provision in the declaration, the condominium form of ownership of a property may be terminated by a plan of termination approved by, now it's a much lesser number here, approved by the lesser of the lowest percentage of voting interests necessary to amend or is otherwise provided in the declaration for approval. Okay, sometimes you could amend with just 50% plus one. Okay, we're not talking about 100% anymore. We're talking about 50% plus one in some situations. If the total estimated cost of construction and repairs necessary to construct the improvements, to restore or to install the improvements to their former condition or bring them into compliance with applicable laws or regulations exceeds the combined fair market value of the units in the condominium after completion of the construction or repairs. Okay, let's end it right there. So think about that. So if you need, X dollars to fix this condominium, to bring it into shape, and you could prove that, okay, Judge, it doesn't make sense to bring it into shape because the repairs are going to cost more than the value of the units in the end. Doesn't make sense. It's economic waste to now make these repairs. Doesn't make sense for us to do it because the cost of the repairs will be more than the value of the units will be when the repairs are done. Okay?
We just want to say the reason why we're talking about this is that there are buildings that are going through all of these inspections that aren't going to be up to snuff, and they're going to be very expensive to fix, and this is going to happen.
This is the second way that a developer can bring you down.
This is going to happen.
Okay?
Yes. And you need to know about this.
Yes.
Now, so the developer can be on the board, right?
The developer can be on the board.
Okay, so if a developer can terminate the condominium because it's in terrible shape,
Right.
don't they automatically have an incentive to let the property fall into disrepair if they control a majority of the board?
Okay, think about what you just said. So the developer sitting on the board and says, if this property goes completely into disrepair, right, we can show a court. It doesn't
run it
make
into the
sense
ground.
You think so? Right? And here's what typically happens, okay? I've seen this, several times. The developer purchases enough units so that the developer controls a majority of the board of directors. So the developer's now in charge of the board, right? The board lets the property go completely into disrepair. The developer then takes the position that the property is just in miserable shape. It simply doesn't make economic sense to repair the property and bring the property back into shape. And therefore, it should be terminated, Your Honor, right? And the developer argues that in order to bring the property into shape, it requires massive special assessments, and it just makes sense to terminate the condo due to economic waste. For example, the developer says we need $5 million to fix the place, and even if we do, the total value of the units is going to be $3 million. So, Your Honor, should we put $5 million into a property where it's only going to be worth $3 million in the end? It makes no sense to fix it up.
And it's cheaper for the developer to buy the units that are in disrepair because they're worth less.
Yes, of course. There's an incentive to keep the property in crappy condition.
But what about safety?
What about it?
Yeah.
What about it?
Are they?
That's not his
are they
problem. That's not the developer's problem.
That's not his problem.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
So, this is what's going on, and it's going on in several condominiums as we speak.
Really?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. The developer has a disincentive. There's another way the developer can get you out also, where the developer controls a majority of the board and then says, oh, this property needs so much work, $20,000 special assessment to everybody in the building. And he knows people can't afford it, right?
And if you're already going down this road, it's too late to sell.
Correct.
Right?
That's right. If you got to
You're just
know,
gonna have
you
to
got to
eat it.
spot this in advance.
You're gonna
It's a
have to
great,
eat it.
great point. So what are you looking for, right?
Yeah, what are the telltale signs?
The telltale signs are the pretty obvious ones where someone's buying up some corporation or some
how do you
person
know?
is it's on the public records.
Okay.
You can always look, for example, on the property appraiser's website of the county that you live in. Right? Just go to for example, in Broward, bcpa.com.
Okay.
Take a look at your building. If you see that all of a sudden, wow, look at that. One corporation starting to buy up all the units. They own 10%, 20%, 30%. You know you got a problem coming. You know that eventually they're going to want you out.
This will be before you find out about the SIRS and about your any kind of a
I can't tell you exactly
reserve?
what the time frame is going to be.
the developer's going to know before all that happens?
The developer's going to do their homework anyway. So the developer's going to look to avoid all of that.
Don't wait till you find out that you're in
right.
deep
The developer's not going to want to do any of that, the SIRS and all that. Developer just wants to buy up enough units to potentially knock it down, okay? With you in it. No, I don't mean that, but to knock it down.
Right.
So it would be, and again, terminate due to what's called economic waste. Right.
It's
exactly.
worth less than it would cost to fix it.
Correct.
Yeah.
So let's suppose developer gets on the board,
Yeah.
right? And he starts controlling units, Does that automatically mean that the developer controls the board of directors, however?
Okay.
And I will tell you, because you asked that a few minutes ago, and I will tell you that our firm won a really big case a couple of years ago, and I guess it's about 3 years ago, that involved a condominium in South Beach, in South Miami, obviously. Developer comes along, and this is like a 500-unit condominium.
On the water?
No, but in South Beach.
Okay.
And the developer spends $300 million buying out a majority of the units, like 350 units, something like that. I don't remember the exact numbers, but they clearly owned a majority of the units now. Developer gets on the board and starts doing, let's just say, some of the things that we're talking about now.
Okay.
Thinking that they're eventually going to own all the units.
And you're the
they can do
association attorney?
I was representing the association attorney at the time. And the developer gets on and starts making decisions that might not even be in the best interest of everyone, let's just put it that way. And can they control the board? That's the main issue. Does someone like that automatically control the board because they have all these votes? And the answer that we found out after winning the case was no. No. depending upon how the documents are written and whether the developer is leasing those units in the ordinary course of business. This is very interesting. Technical, but very interesting. The developer, if they're leasing their unit in the ordinary course of business, right, they are deemed a developer now. Okay, we're using the term developer loose, but you are deemed a developer depending upon whether you have the as amended from time to time language. That's how complicated this gets.
You're not a buyer, you're a developer.
You're a developer, exactly.
If you're leasing it out?
If you're leasing the units in the ordinary course of business and whether you have the as amended from time to time language. So we proved you're leasing the units in the ordinary course of business.
So you're a developer.
You're a developer. Now, once a condominium has been passed from developer to the unit owners, that's called turnover.
Right.
A developer can never control the board again. You follow me?
And it doesn't have to be the same developer
Correct.
that built it originally.
It doesn't have to be the same
it just has to be
So
a
we said,
developer.
wait a minute, you're a developer? You don't get to control the board. The unit owners get to control the board.
So what happened? They spent $300 million.
Correct. They spent $300 million and did not control the board of directors because we kicked them out.
They did.
Very big win for us. I mean, a real big win for us. Major. Can you imagine the attorney telling your client now?
No. So what happened?
Forgot to tell you that. So let's just say, things didn't go too well for that developer, and then we were hired just to win that case.
Sure.
And we did.
Okay.
Okay. So the bottom line, this is complicated stuff, real complicated stuff. But the lesson out there for everybody is, you really need to check what's going on in your association.
Can we ask the attorney of our association to check it for us, or
you don't need to. You need to do it yourself.
Okay.
Just find your condominium on the property appraiser's website.
Okay.
Go look. Wait a minute. One corporation is now owning all these units. That's the danger sign. That's when you know, problems are coming. Okay?
But you can ask your attorney to check and see if the developer can get on the board and take over
Correct.
the board.
You need absolutely
Check
need
that
to know
out
that
immediately.
question. Your attorney needs to.
You do it now.
I can tell you this.
Because
Most
knock yourself
attorneys-
out, developer.
Yeah, right. Most attorneys will tell you, well, what do you want? The developer owns all these units. They get all these votes. Not necessarily. Okay, it's a big, big, big win that we had. And it's a very publicized case, by the way.
Really?
But again, complicated stuff. That's the best
you're
advice.
so famous. You went on
this was a
60
good case. Very
Minutes.
proud of it. Me and Paul Kim worked on it. Really tough case. Okay, this is complicated stuff, but again, the topic that's going to dominate the news when it comes to condominiums over the next few years, termination and buyout. So read this stuff, and if you can't understand it, well, get an attorney who can explain it to you. I mean, know somebody. All right, but let's find out what our viewers and listeners have to say. Give us a call here in the studio, 717-GLAZER-8. That's 717-452-9378. Drop us a question or a comment in the chat box on YouTube. We'll be back right after this.
There are very large management companies, and there are very small management companies. And I think Affinity sits somewhere in the middle of that, where they are big enough to provide you with all of the back of the house services, the accounting, the infrastructure, the support systems, but small enough to be high touch.
We believe at Affinity that we do the 9 to 5 so that you don't have to do that.
Hello. Welcome to Condo Craze and HOAs. Boy, we're just like bending spoons with our minds with all of this confusing stuff.
There's just so much.
When
It's
are you a
very
developer?
complicated
It is
stuff.
so complicated.
Don't be afraid to ask questions. And where are you going to ask those questions?
At your seminars
At the
that you
seminar,
developed
right?
15 years ago that are now mandatory. Yes.
So Robert creates a really beautiful email for us that went out on Wednesday. I should kill him for it, actually. No, I'm kidding. I'm killing. You don't know how many people signed up for the course. It doesn't stop. Wow, you're going to have me teaching in front of a lot of people. We're going to talk bigger rooms. I mean, I'm going to be standing up there for 5, 6, 7. Thank you, Robert. No,
it's going to be like a
lot of lucky people.
A lot of lucky
Taylor Swift concert or something.
Yeah, this is going to be big. I mean,
it's Eric's Eras tour.
It's because it was clear that education is now mandatory.
Yeah, but people want it.
Absolutely.
They wanted you to teach for 4 hours.
Always said, I made this comment this week in front of the crowd I was speaking to. So we asked people to fill out questionnaires at the end. What did you like about the seminar? What didn't you like about the seminar? What's the #1 complaint? Not long enough. Not long enough. So flattered by that.
If they're spending 70 hours watching you and me on Condo Crazy,
70,000.
That's 70,000. Excuse me, 70,000 hours.
Exactly. So as you know, it's mandatory now. That's the bottom line. Thank God. I wish they would have called it the Glazer Law, but they didn't. But it's something I've been pushing for my whole career. Mandatory education. It is now mandatory. Condominium board members have to take it. HOA board members have to take it. There's continuing education. But let's talk about the 4-hour requirement. First, we're teaching those classes at the LNL and Condo and HOA Expos. Okay, so here are the dates. Mark them down. If you can come, we'd love to see it.
And it starts at 8 o'clock in the morning.
No joke, seats are filling up. I don't know. Eventually, we're going to have to hit a point where we say, hey, that's it. It's just not possible.
Standing room,
yeah,
too.
It's going to be nuts.
All right.
Okay, lead it off.
October 9th, it's at Palm Beach Convention Center there off Okeechobee Boulevard in West Palm Beach.
Yep.
Starts at 8 a.m.
Yeah, all of these are at 8 a.m. October 15th, Broward Convention Center.
October 24th, Tampa Bay Convention Center.
There's one October 29th in Bradenton, but I won't be teaching that.
I thought you were
I
teaching
know, it
it.
went back and forth a few times, so I won't be at the Bradenton one.
He's going to be teaching, but he's wearing a Halloween costume, so you
Yeah,
won't
that's
even know
what
it's
it is,
him.
right.
Yeah.
And then on the
November
13th of November, we'll be in Orlando at the Orange County Convention Center. As you know, we're going to be teaching all the new topics, including the new education requirements.
Yeah, the safety, new inspection, reserve funding laws, importance of from time to time language, the documents that govern your community, because that's really important.
You know, we talk all the time, the hot topic has been obviously the new condo laws, because we're talking about life safety issues, the fact that 98 people died because of
but debit cards and pets
debit cards and pets we'll be talking about. But we're also HOA members that are listening out there. There was a plethora of new HOA laws again. And if you're a board member, you certainly need to take the course for, regarding HOAs. There's been so many. Yes, there's been so many new HOA laws. And I'll say this to members of the board. This year, I can tell you that a lot of your powers that you think you have, you no longer have. Okay, so
the board. They made it better for the homeowner
and certain committees. Committees.
Okay.
Okay, architectural review committees, as a matter of fact.
Right.
So you really need to know what you have to stop asking unit owners to do or homeowners to do. So again, HOA owners, condo owners, you really need to take the course.
And
we'll
fining, right?
Fining. There's all. If I tell you, everything was touched on, and the person who should get the most credit for that this year is Representative Vicky Lopez. Absolutely incredible. She's not an attorney. Came in and she just took this over, devoted her life to it at this point.
Most of the Florida legislature, those lawmakers live in a HOA rather than a condo.
Correct,
so they're like, we want more hands off. We don't want Cynthia coming with violation.
Yes, there's no regulation from DPPR.
Yeah.
But condos, we can even spend hours talking about that. Lots of new powers for the DVPR. Let's go take the first phone call.
All right, let's go to the first caller. I'm going to put on Danny, who has some comments about this topic.
Sure.
Termination.
Hey, Danny, good morning. Good afternoon. I'm so used to the morning. Holy cow.
Hi there. Yeah, I know. Hi guys. Thank you for the show. Been a big fan for a really long time.
Thank you very much.
A ton of info thanks to you, both of you.
Thank you so much, Danny. Appreciate it.
Guys, I just wanted you to know, I don't know really why I'm calling in other than I'm a PM, I'm a property manager, been doing it for 5 years, and I've done 2 condo terminations this year in 2024 alone.
Wow, you see?
I'm glad you called in.
Here they come. That's the bottom line.
It's happening.
You know, we went from, and we're still dealing with, you know, the most important issues being inspections, mandatory repairs, mandatory reserves. And then we're going to basically know that. And then the next topic you better learn, as Danny says, is you better learn terminations.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Oh, it's a thing. Now it's a thing.
Now
I can tell you that.
It's definitely a thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, attorneys better bone up on it, and unit owners better bone up on it, and boards better bone up on it, because it's complicated. It's very complicated. And, you know, I keep repeating myself, but it's complicated to the point that one law may apply on that side of the street, another law may apply on that side of the street. We're literally, that's what we're talking about.
Developer beware.
Yeah. So Danny, thank you. You know, was there legal help involved, obviously?
Yes, several, actually, from what I learned. One property I sort of inherited that was going to termination in Broward, and that went very successfully. Successful in terms of termination, I guess.
So let me ask you this. When you say the word successfully, does that mean that the unit owners who were bought out were okay with the prices that they were offered?
No, I was going to say in general initially no, but as you know, there's a whole process to this, Eric, that I don't recall you commenting exactly. I mean, obviously you get notices, and a lot of owners just think, hey, this can never happen to me. This is propaganda. This is whatever. And then they ignore these notices to go to court and to talk about or get some kind of representation.
What a great call.
Yeah,
so people think that, you know, this is just a developer making me a stupid offer, you know, like junk mail.
They can't do this to me.
Yeah, junk mail. It's not junk mail.
I'm not selling.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great phone call.
So it doesn't come certified. They just mail it to you?
No, it's typically what gets sent to you is certified. They're sending you the plan. You have a time period to object to the plan, but the developer has to show the court that, hey, we got an appraisal, right? Who do you think can be the one that hires the appraiser? The developer. Do you think the developer is going to pick any appraiser or somebody that the developer knows?
Favorable.
Right? Okay. So there's just so much to know. Danny, it's a great phone call.
Danny, did they knock those buildings down, the 2 that were terminated?
No, they did not. They just converted them to sort of private apartments, and I think the ultimate goal, which hasn't happened yet, is to probably flip it and find somebody else that may want to buy it all in bulk. But one nugget that I took from I think it was Eric's last show or maybe the show before that was that if you're last to call, or at least towards the end, the caboose, if you will, of these offers, you're the guy that's going to get the least.
I can't thank you enough for this call, right?
Smokes.
How many times did I say that? If you think they're going to pay me the most, I'll hold out. You're the guy that's going to get the lead, because they don't need you anymore, because once they get to that 80% number, let's say, they just do the plan and you're done. Now you can't object. They got the numbers. That's the bottom line. So don't be the last guy. Hang it in.
And Eric, can I ask you one tiny question about this, please, real quick?
Yeah, sure.
The importance of can you explain, as best as you always do in layman's terms, what the importance of the Kaufman language in your docs in order for developers to possibly do this or not? I think that was a critical point I'm learning. Can you talk a little bit about that, please, buddy?
So if you have the as amended from time to time language in your governing documents, right?
The Kaufman language.
Yeah, the Kaufman language, right? So you can argue the new statute applies, the new termination statute applies. Now, what's good about the new termination statute for people that are there, if you have at least 5% of the people that object to the plan, right? The new statute says if you have 5% of the people that object to the plan is dead. And not only is the plan dead, the developer can't come up with a new plan for 2 years.
But what about if they get on the board?
It is, no, done. That's it. Developer cannot. And then, well, now we're talking about,
with Kaufman.
Then they have, okay, so that's said, 2 ways to skin a cat.
Right.
So, Danny, so far, so good. Do you understand what I'm talking about? They're saying
absolutely,
yes.
So clear, as always.
Thank you. Now, let's say the at least 5% object to the plan. Now, what is the developer going to potentially do? Exactly what we spoke about.
Economic waste.
There you
Right.
go, buddy. You're a great manager. It's obvious.
But if they rent, they rent out
Intelligent.
the units, they become a developer.
They become a developer.
But if there's Kaufman language, does it matter?
Hey, you're confused. I don't know. Ask a lawyer. I don't know. I told you, 7-hour mediation today.
I'm going to leave you guys with this. Board members everywhere, this is the place to come learn.
Thank you, my friend.
And to find things out. It's with Eric and his classes and really this radio show. It is just one of the best free resources you'll ever get to protect your property.
Thank you.
And I'll leave you guys with that. Have a great day.
Thank you, Danny. And check will be overnighted. I appreciate it. Okay? That's
buddy.
fantastic. Thank you so much.
Such a great call.
What a call. Back to the phones, please.
All right, next caller is Joe.
Joe?
Boynton Beach.
Hello,
Hey,
Eric.
hey, Joe. How are you?
Eric, quick 2 questions. First one is on a reserve study presented at the annual meeting. If the reserve study is 100% funded, and that's the only reserve study presented, does the does the membership have to vote on it?
The membership never votes on a reserve study. Ever. The members never vote on a budget. There's such confusion when it comes to that. The only people that vote on approving a budget or not is the board. Period. And again, by the way, just to remind everybody, and never mind, eventually reserves will be mandatory in 2026 for condominiums. But if the board still, as of right now and for 2025, must prepare a budget with fully funded reserves. Must. Okay? And they don't even have to give the owners a chance to waive the reserves. So to clarify, they don't even have to give the owners the opportunity to do it. All they were required to do is put a budget out with fully funded reserves. And then technically, the unit owners can get together and try to waive the reserves. And by the way, if they want to waive the reserves for 2025, brand new law when it comes to waiving. It used to be a majority of a quorum. Now you need a majority of all owners, of all units. Much harder now.
That roundtable with the governor?
Yes.
One of the condo representatives said that their entire board quit.
Because they didn't want to go through.
Well, they hadn't approved a budget in 2 years.
Really?
So they didn't want to go into conservatorship, right?
Right.
So it was like a nightmare.
So they just
the board
walked away.
wasn't even approving budgets.
Really? So they just quit. There's everybody thinks, how many meetings does my board have to have during the year? And before the new laws, it was only 2. An annual meeting and a budget meeting, okay? The annual meeting isn't even a board meeting, okay? That's a unit owner meeting. So under the statute, there needs to be only 1 director meeting in a whole year. What is that meeting?
The budget.
The budget meeting, okay? And they weren't even
doing
that, okay? I'll talk about a lazy board. Let's take our bottom of the hour break, even though we're running late. Keep the calls coming in, 717-GLAZER-8, 717-GLAZER-8, back right after this.
For mitigation after a catastrophic event, building restoration, repair and remediation consulting, or Senate Bill 4D inspections, please visit rimkiss.com.
All over the world, people have plumbing problems. These problems can be expensive and destructive to fix. Have you ever wondered if there was a way to take care of your plumbing problems without destruction and an outrageous price tag? Welcome to Pipelining Technologies, Inc., where we specialize in fixing your problems without demolition and minimum cutting by means of pipelining. Pipelining is the ability to take a pipe damaged by root intrusion or long-term deterioration and make it new. by means of inserting an epoxy-saturated liner into the pipe and allowing it to harden or cure, leaving behind a brand new pipe.
That sounds great. How can I get pipelining in my home, commercial building, or condominium?
Simply fill out our online contact form and a pipelining representative will get in touch with you in a timely fashion, or call us directly at 561-853-5463.
Welcome back to Condo Craze and HOAs. Karen Curtis with attorney Eric Glazer. He's board certified in condominium and community association law. And we have tons of questions in the chat box and phone calls.
A lot of great questions, but before I take them, Jose Pazos writes in, hello, Eric, good to see you. And I just want to say, Jose, it's always great to see you, always great to hear from you. Jose is not only a manager extraordinaire, but Jose was willing to give his life for the country. I apologize, buddy, I don't remember your exact title, but I think you were sergeant in the military, and you want to talk about a guy that saw active fighting, active service. Jose is your guy. So thank you for everything you've done for your country, and again, manager extraordinaire, and thank you very much for your kind comments, Jose. Let's see. Talisha writes in, do we have any recourse if board members kick off other two board members? And I'll just stop there and no need to read the rest of it. Board members cannot kick other board members off of the board.
But they can strip them of their
very good
title.
that they can remove their title from them as an officer. But board members can't remove other board members. What we can do is just reconstitute the board. They can say, okay, we're removing you from as president, we're removing you as vice president, stuff like that. That can be done. Any statute of limitations, Joe LeBrick writes in, any statute of limitations on HOA documents. We have a president that wants to rescind a document. I'm not sure what that means, but let me answer it this way. A lot of times people will say, well, look what they recorded. That amendment is legal. That amendment is wrong. There is a 5-year statute of limitations on challenging the validity of a recorded document like an amendment. Okay? So you have 5 years to challenge it. If you don't challenge it within 5 years, that document stands. It's be almost impossible to have that document revoked now. So
and they have to keep the documents for how long?
Now that document, well, your declaration of condominium always, including all amendments, needs to be ready to go. Someone walks in,
it's there,
and they ask for it, that's got to be ready to go all the time. Okay? Back to the phones.
All right, let's see. Our next caller would be Alicia.
How are you, Alicia?
Hi, my name is Alicia. Robles, I'm from Rico, Florida.
Yes, how are you?
Thank you. You have an amazing show. I love the fact that you share your wisdom and knowledge with so many people that truly, really need to hear all this.
What did I do today to deserve all this? I woke up thinking, oh, God, I got to get through this day. You guys have invigorated me. I feel great.
Thank you,
Thank you
Alicia.
so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. I went for an inspection in May and found out that 3 of my board members do not have any annual membership meetings for elections for about 6 years.
Really?
So there's nothing that says that they're on the board.
Okay.
Is there anything that...
Is this a condo or is this an HOA?
It's an HOA.
Okay. And again, does the HOA do the elections by sending out notices and saying, hey, who wants to run for the board? Fill out this form and let us know. Do they do things that way?
Yeah.
Okay. So is it possible that they sent out notices saying, hey, who wants to run? Nobody responded that they want to run, so they take the position that, okay, we roll over again. Okay, is that possible? And that's a whole other law that we can get into and talk forever. Is that possible?
Term limits?
I don't. That's not the scenario in my situation.
Okay, like, tell me the scenario. Tell me.
Quick scenario.
Yes.
1 year, they ended up. We had like a 10% that we have to meet for quorum.
Okay.
We were really excited to meet that 10%. The very same day of election, they decided to tell us that it was raised to 20%. So the people had to stay in their seats again.
What proof did they have that it was raised to 20%? Was the declaration amended?
Yes, they amended the bylaws.
The
without
bylaws were
homeowners
amended.
knowing.
Do you know and this is interesting, do you know what the requirements for amending the bylaws were? Were the board members allowed to amend the bylaws simply by a vote of the board?
That's a very good question.
Yeah, that's what we need to know. How can they just say that it went from 10% to 20%? That's a big deal, raising the quorum requirement. So that's the first thing I'd want to know. You got to take a look at your bylaws, right? Go to the amendment section, okay? The amendment section, and in the amendment section, it will tell you how these bylaws get amended, right? And the quorum requirement is always mentioned in the bylaws. That will tell you what the quorum amount is. That's why that's the document that they amended, the bylaws. But we need to know, what does it say? It normally requires a vote of the owners to amend the bylaws, typically a majority or 75%.
Yeah.
If they didn't do that, then I'm sorry, it's not 20%, it's back down to 10%. So I'll tell you what, call me in the office tomorrow, 954-983-1112, 954-983-1112. Let's look at the documents together. Again, not too hard to do that, everybody, just so you know. You go to the records, the clerk's office, pull up a copy of the Declaration of Condominium or Covenants as originally recorded. Not hard at all. Get it and take a look. They're all online, everybody, unless the documents are really old. Okay, then it becomes a little more difficult. But generally speaking, all your documents are up there. Don't be afraid to look for it.
The Dead Sea Scrolls in Sanskrit.
Dead Sea Scrolls, right. Okay, is that fair enough?
It sounds fair.
I look forward to it. Thank you so much. Who else we got, Rob?
All right, let's see. Our next caller is Felicia.
Felicia, how are you?
From Alicia to Felicia.
Felicia, right.
Hi, you already answered my question in the chat about can board members kick off other board members.
All right. So, yes, go ahead.
Yes, because the two board members that were kicked off, it was a lawsuit based on a request for records.
Okay.
And no assessment, no fines or anything. But since they hadn't paid the assessment, not the assessment, I'm sorry. The lawsuit.
Okay. All right. So it's not the board members that kicked off the board members. It happens by operation of law, right?
Yeah.
It's bottom line is once you become 90 days late in the payment of assessments, that you're gone by operation of law. Nothing you need to. And by the way, that 90-day requirement does not mean that owing 3 full months of assessments. You can owe $25 for 90 days, but once you owe a balance for 90 days, a delinquency for 90 days, you are automatically off the board. The statutes say you're deemed to have abandoned your office.
But if you pay it, are you back on?
No, that's the question. So sometimes the people, okay, I'm sorry, I pay it. Can I get back on? No, because now it's a vacancy, and the other board members can fill that vacancy.
And if they don't take your course and get certified, they're off the board.
They're off the board as well within 90 days.
But
so
if they get certified, they're back on it.
Yes, that's the difference. Okay, hold on. Just want to. Karen brought up a good point. With the education requirement, you're right. With the education requirement, if you don't take the course within 90 days, you're off. But you can come back on as soon as you take the course. With being delinquent, it doesn't work that way.
If you owe
being
25
delinquent,
bucks,
you're off.
You're off,
and the board doesn't have to take you back even if you pay.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry. What is it? Felicia or Alicia?
Felicia.
Felicia. Sorry, Felicia.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, really quick.
It wasn't based on assessment or fine. It was based on losing a lawsuit because we requested.
You can't remove somebody because they lost a lawsuit of some kind or are even involved in a lawsuit against the board itself, against the association itself. So what happened there apparently was totally illegal. But you know what? It doesn't matter with these questions because even though we didn't perhaps answer that specific question,
we're still answering.
There's so much to teach. That question leads to so many others. That's the great part about and what I feel is a great part about the show. There's just an endless amount to teach.
Endless.
And the listeners love it tonight, and I really appreciate it. Let's take our final break of the hour. Again, keep the calls coming in. Don't wait till the last second. We're almost out of time. 717 Glazer 8. Be back right after this.
In South Florida, the transition from bright sunshine to heavy rain and hurricanes can take a toll on your property's exterior and structural integrity. Cracked stucco, spalled concrete, they're more than eyesores. They can signal deeper issues. Now, with new Florida laws involving structural integrity requirements, we want to help you meet your milestone inspections and maintain the durability and beauty of your building. Since 2004, PD has been the trusted expert in structural concrete restoration, painting, and waterproofing for condominiums and commercial properties. Visit pd-concrete.com or call us today.
We are DMI Paving and Seal Coating, Florida's parking lot experts. We specialize in asphalt paving and repair, including pothole repair, seal coating using JC7 or polytar, concrete curbs, ramps, and walkways, and striping and pavement marking, as well as ADA compliance. We service commercial properties, including homeowners associations, apartment communities, shopping malls, warehouses, stadiums and arenas, and more. Experience is worth more than anything in an industry like ours, and our staff has decades of it. We have specialized equipment for any job, regardless of size, saving you time and money. DMI has a reputable history. We have been in business since 1956. We serve the state of Florida from 6 locations. Let us bid on your next parking lot project. Visit us online at dmipavingandsealcoating.com.
Welcome back to the final segment of Condo Craze and HOAs, here live on our YouTube channel on a Thursday night, and we are still taking some questions on the phone.
Questions are great.
And on the chat, in the chat box.
Yes. Debbie Stolowitz really asks an important question. Why can't condos collect capital contributions? So a lot of times in documents, like especially in HOAs, obviously in HOAs, the documents say that when somebody moves in, they not only have to make sure that there's no past due assessments, but the new buyer has to contribute towards a capital contribution. Sometimes it's 1,000, sometimes it's 2,000, sometimes it's X number of months of assessments. Just you have to pay it as soon as you move in. Very, very common in HOAs. Can you do it for a condominium? And the answer is condominiums are not allowed. Why? Why can't condos do it? Because condominiums are governed by what a transfer fee statute. Okay? And the transfer fee statute specifically says what you can charge for a new buyer to come in. And it's like $150 per person, right? So you're stuck with that $150 limitation. Again, because of the transfer fee statute. I represented a condo in Palm Beach County that was charging capital contributions, and they got sued. Now, and class action, by the way.
And that would be for the common elements?
No, just a capital contribution. Yeah, to fix up the common elements. Yes, to be used. So they were charging, we're going to be just like an HOA. We're going to ask for a capital contribution. Well, they got sued in a class action.
Oh, the unit.
Now, I start defending them.
Oh, you were defending them.
What I didn't know, right, it wasn't disclosed to me, was by prior counsel, that this is not the first time. They were sued in federal court previously, and the federal court judge already issued a ruling against the association in federal court. So now they're sued in state court, and I file something, a motion to dismiss the case or whatever, and the state court judge, you want to talk about embarrassment, the state court judge basically says, hey, Eric, did you see what happened to your client in federal court?
So
it's very clear, federal court order, federal court ruling that says a condominium cannot collect capital contributions.
What is wrong with people? So the unit owners that filed the class action suit ended up paying for...
No, they got all their money. Yeah.
From where?
Yeah, you're right.
They had to pay their own freaking bill.
Right. Basically, it was passing money around. That's true. We were arguing that, but that's what happened. People that paid the capital contribution got it back, but where did they get it back from?
From everybody.
The pot that was there, of money that the unit owners were paying their assessments on. There wasn't enough money to pay the bills. Okay, we need to pass a special assessment now because you took back your money from the pot. So it was just
and
yes,
the board
paying
members were not personally liable.
no, they were not personally. You know, it was a mistake. But the bottom line is, Debbie, that's why condominiums cannot charge a capital contribution, because there's a specific transfer fee statute which is not found in the HOA statute. So I hope that answers your question. We got time for another? Okay.
Yeah. Another call?
Yep.
Let's go to Margaret in Miami.
Margaret, how are you, Margaret?
No, I'm just listening.
She's just listening. Well, thanks for listening.
Thank
but
you.
We're going to see if we can take another
Well,
caller. Thank you
okay.
so much.
Mine, I have a situation where your board of directors, you don't know when they are nominated, when they are elected. You just hear, and when you inquire about it, you get no answer on it.
It's a second call like that tonight.
You don't know who nominated them, who brought them in, what are the qualifications.
Okay, well, you don't have to necessarily know their qualifications. They're allowed, at least in a condo, they're allowed to submit resumes when they're running, basically, that gets sent out to everybody. But that does not apply in an HOA.
Well, they need to have a 4-year college degree.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Be a rocket scientist.
So, but you should know, obviously, who gets on your board of directors. That's a given, right?
Yes, but no letter go out to the residents to say, okay, we have in a nomination, whether the residents will be involved or not, nothing to say we have in meeting or election of members.
Okay.
And then when that takes place, you
DVPR?
don't nobody.
Are you very good? Are you in a condo or an HOA?
HOA.
Condo.
You're in a condo.
Okay, excuse
Okay,
me.
so yeah, Rob just came in and said what you need to do right now. And again, we've said on the show many times, the DBPR has such extensive powers. Their budget was actually doubled. They hired 75 more investigators. You need to file a complaint with the Department of Business and Professional Regulation, the Division of Condos. Just on the internet, you can Google it, complaint form, Division of Condominiums. Up pops the complaint form, you fill it out, you send it into Tallahassee. Tallahassee will get back to you, that I promise. They have all the resources to do now, and they're doing it, okay? Rob, next call, maybe we got one more on the way out.
Yeah, I had contacted them at some time in Tallahassee, but something like if I weren't, I don't remember what then you couldn't
I'm
do.
telling you what to do.
I
Hold on,
really
dear.
want because I.
Yeah, hold on, dear. I'm sorry, but you have to go fill out the condominium complaint form, send it to Tallahassee now on the forms they give you, and I promise you, they will absolutely investigate. That I could promise you. Okay, let's take our final call, Rob.
All right, next caller is Scott from Palm Beach.
Hey, Scott.
Hi, this is I'm in a 40-unit condo association in Palm Beach Gardens. We're a condo association, not HOA.
Okay.
And when the new law for HOAs happened on July 1st, that about pickups being allowed to park, the board was then under the assumption that that included condo associations. Then they found out it didn't include condo associations. Now they're going to our docs, and in our docs, it talks about storage, and they say what it reads is no boats, boat trailers, trucks, campers, or motor scooters, motorcycles, or motorbikes of any type or description are to be stored in parking lots or in common or limited common areas. So what they're trying to pass is, that pertains to storing it, and so we can allow pickups now. And we've been around for 45 years, since 1978. We've always enforced this, and now they're saying that this is storage.
Wow, I'll tell you this. There's case law out there that says condominiums are creatures of statutes, and the documents are to be strictly construed. Like, if there's nothing ambiguous about it, then the documents have to be interpreted just like what the word stored means.
What does that mean?
It's not
That means
subject to interpretation.
It's not your main
To
vehicle,
me,
it's like your second vehicle, so you're just storing it?
Well, stored to me means just that. being put away. You know, they could have used the word parked.
Right.
These vehicles, types of vehicles, cannot
Instead
be
they used
parked.
stored.
Instead, they used stored. So great argument that stored means stores and stored, and what the board wants to do by allowing all those vehicles to now park there.
They're right.
They are right, and the unit owners have every right to do it. And on that note, we got to end the show. What a great show today.
Loved it.
You guys really wonderful, great, fantastic calls today. Such nice things about all of us on the show. Please know how much we all appreciate it. You know, we're here on a Thursday night now and giving up our time. And please know, when you tell us something nice like that, it really goes to our heart. It means a lot to us. So we will see you again. No, normally I say Thursday, speak to you again next Sunday, on Sunday, next Condo Craze Any Trade. No, we'll see you and speak to you again next Sunday. And of course, if you need next Thursday, Lord Almighty, gotta go home. It's terrible. Yeah, it's a long day.
Who am I?
Rob, tell me what to say. Okay, if you need legal
Tell me what to say. You're the smartest person in the planet.
There you go. If you need legal help off the air, right, give us a call at Glazer & Sachs, 954-983-1112, 954-983-1112. I don't think I'm leaving anything out at this point. And again, we will see you and speak to you next Thursday. How about that?
At
7 o'clock p.m. Go Dolphins tonight. Yeah, I'm definitely rooting for them. Have a great, safe, wonderful week, everybody.
Thanks,
Be
Eric.
good.
Thanks, Robert.